He looked every inch a man at ease with his surroundings, confident, and with a clenched fist salute, defiant.
I
do not recognize this court because you get your mandate from political parties.
Having rejected the court's authority, Breivik went on to enter a plea.
I acknowledge the acts, but I am not criminally responsible. I acted in self-defense.
This was Breivik, the soldier, at the front line of what he believes is a war against Muslim occupation in Europe. And this was Breivik, the killer. Graphic images shown to the court of Utoya Island, where 69 people, most of them teenagers, were shot to death after 7 more had died in the Oslo bombing earlier. Breivik was unmoved. The only break in his composure came as he watched his own propaganda video, a flicker of teary emotion for the ideas that motivated his actions, the imaginings of a lunatic or the cold calculations of a criminal mind, a key question for this trial to answer. And as Behring Breivik has admitted committing the acts in the indictment, he just doesn't accept that they were criminal. Now, the question of his state of mind will be crucial in determining what sort of sentence might eventually be passed. And there are conflicting views. One group of psychiatrists has labelled him a paranoid schizophrenic who should be committed to an asylum. Another has called him sane, eligible for prison, and the full force of the law. Another view is that to dwell too much on Breivik's mental health is to miss the danger that his views represent.
Well, the real danger in this case consists in just writing Breivik up as an isolated lunatic and not take seriously the kind of ideology that he represented, which is a paranoid kind of Islamophobia, which is anti-democratic and which does not see our governments as being legitimate and which will sooner or later lead to violence again unless we take it seriously.
However hard it must have been to watch, survivors said they were glad the trial had finally begun.
I'm happy in a way it has started, because it's an important step to get on in life later on.
All in all, very good to see that the process has started and that things are going as they should.
They'd seen Breivik shed tears for his own philosophy, but show no emotion for his victims as their names were read out, the forensic details of their deaths described one by one. There was no sign of remorse. Breivik's only regret, his lawyer says, is that he didn't kill more. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera, Oslo.
So just how will the trial develop? Al Jazeera's Jonah Hull has more from Oslo.
Well, if day one of this trial was essentially an open court session with journalists inside and television cameras rolling, filming the events and putting them out to TVs across the country, day two will be quite different. The cameras will be switched off, and that's because Anders Behring Breivik himself, for the next 5 days beginning on Tuesday, will take the stand in open testimony under cross-examination by both the prosecution and the defence. What he has to say, what he tells the court, will be very important in the court's final eventual reckoning about his state of mind, the state of his mental health. But a decision was made that he shouldn't be given a televised public platform to both defend his actions and promote and explain his views. Instead, that'll be left to print journalists sitting in the court who will write it all down, distill it down, edit it, provide context and background, and then splash it across the front pages of the Norwegian newspapers, where Norwegian readers will of course lap it up. And that's because whilst they are revolted by Breivik and what he did, they are also fascinated by him and want to understand better why he did what he did, if only to prevent it from happening again. There are few in this country who think that this trial will bring closure. Survivors that I've spoken to certainly don't. Rather, they say what Anders Behring Breivik did will reverberate here for many years to come.